Hello there, and welcome to the Cargo Bay, a Star Wars conversation podcast bringing broadcast to you from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I am Brady C, here with my co-host, as always,
Adam B. How you doing, BC?
Adam B. It's a bittersweet day. It feels a little bittersweet. It seems like just yesterday we were recording parts 1 and 2 reaction to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And now we're here. We've reached the end of our Obi-Wan Kenobi journey.
That's right, BC. I mean, we kind of started this podcast. I mean, we'd been live streaming different things on Twitch, for about a year, but we kind of started this podcast leading up to this show because we were excited about this show. We wanted to talk about it. And here it is. It's come and gone before our eyes, like sand in the wind.
Yeah, sand in the Tatooine winds. Yeah, it's gone. It's over.
Although I'm feeling a little less bittersweet about it than you are, BC, maybe. I think I'm feeling I feel this sense of relief that it has come, it has been, it is, and as every other part of the Star Wars canon, it is now cataloged away for me to do what I want to with it in my head canon and appreciate what I love and kind of ignore the things that I don't love as much. For me, this show was a success. I'll spoil a little bit here. That was fun. I had a good time.
I agree too, and I think at a certain point it was, and there was a kind of a shift that I noticed in my own viewing of it that made me enjoy it even more, where it's like, I don't want to be the kind of person who goes and nitpicks stupid Star Wars things. Because we can do that, and we'll pick some of the things apart even as we talk about this episode. But just in the times that we're in the world that we live in, I want to try to enjoy things while I'm alive. And Star Wars has always been something that I've enjoyed since I was a little kid, and I first had a VHS recorded off of television cable version of A New Hope put in front of me when I was like, this is amazing. I still want to have that sense of enjoyment and wonder when I go to a galaxy far, far away and enter into these stories. And this has given me so many of those moments throughout the series that I'm just like, I'm glad I have it. I'm not gonna bitch and moan too much about all of the things. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, neither do Space Wizards, so let's just enjoy what we've got.
I'm right there with you, BC. I think you know that I, maybe more than anyone, love to, nitpick technical stuff about the Star Wars universe. Yeah. That's part of how I enjoy the Star Wars universe. But, this is a very unique experience that we get to have. It's easy to get bogged down in kind of the cynicism of hey, it's this giant corporate venture, made by one of the biggest corporations in the world. And the compromises that makes it, whatever. The point I'm making is, how many people in human history get to watch something when they're a child that really impacts them, and then see the same actors, portray those characters in impactful ways 20 years later? In some, if you think about it, 50 years later? I guess we're 45 years past Star Wars? 30? No, we're at least 40 years past the original Star Wars.
77, so 45, yeah.
Wow. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the end of the most recent installment of this, half mythology, half corporate venture merged together to produce Obi-Wan Episode 6.
Yeah, let's get into the nuts and the bolts of Part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But before we do, general spoiler for our 5 listeners, and especially for our listener down under in Australia, we're going to spoil this episode. This will be spoiled. We're going to go through everything. If you haven't watched it, give this a pause. Go watch it. Enjoy Part 6, and then come back to us. Or if you haven't been watching it and you've just been following Kenobi through the Cargo Bay podcast, I mean, buckle up, baby, because you're in for a ride. So I did want to start with this note, because we had heard rumblings. Could this be an hour and a half? Are we getting a full Obi-Wan Kenobi movie? Is it going to be 69 minutes? It's a 50-minute episode.
Yep.
Internet, you remain undefeated in just being full of crap.
Wild speculation.
Way to go on the wild speculation.
I mean, I get where it came from because we all wanted that, maybe, or at least I thought I wanted that. But, you know, after watching this, I was like, I like that. I could cut it down to 30 minutes, maybe. You know,
yeah. We could trim some of this. Yeah. So, well done, Internet. Again, I think the Internet, we should just congratulate them for the entire Obi-Wan Kenobi experience because their performance has been flawless.
Man. I can't tell you the joy that I get from every time the show later on in the run has dropped, like, you know, yeah, we're not breaking the canon. You're just impatient idiots who think like everything in a story needs to be explained to you in episode 1. And there's a lot of that in this episode where it's like, no, they're actually working really hard to try to make the canon work out here.
We're working around and it's fine because we are Star Wars and we understand the canon.
And it's a fictional story as well.
And here's it, like, there are things where I'm like, if they bend the canon, I kind of don't really care that much, where some people seem to care I would say an aggressive amount.
Yeah.
An aggressive amount. Like, I care to a degree, but I don't care to like I'm gonna go sit with my poopy diaper and throw a fit in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, what are you doing? Why are you acting that way?
I mean, I'm not one who's never had a poopy diaper fit in a corner. I think it's good to do that once or twice a week, depending on
you gotta wallow.
Depending on how your week's been going.
But right now, the thing that's happened is your face is completely frozen. And I cannot
all right.
hear you.
Yeah, but as far as definitely no interruption in our podcast. We're right on track here. No technical difficulties.
That's the thing about these, and it's a testament to both of us and our technology, is no editing ever occurs. These are live, one takes every single time.
That's right, BC. We're not only trained, stellar orators.
Yes.
We're also tech trained on all this kind of internet stuff.
Well, and we're cruising out here in the cargo bay, which has actually fantastic technology. Even in the cargo department, that's one thing that they invested in. Again, like the rear shields on the ship, the technology within the ship itself lends itself to having a fantastic podcasting experience.
As long as you don't count PPDO.
Well, yeah, he was just kind of like, he was a holdover from the previous owners. They were like, you just have to take him. He's part of the ship. And so I think that's why he's still around.
Yeah, I guess that's how that went down. I forgot about that. But yeah, BC, we were before we didn't have an interruption. We were talking about, I believe, poopy baby diapers and people crying about canon.
Yeah, poopy baby, and you were saying, and I agree. Every once in a while, it's okay to have a little fussy diaper moment, and I have them too. But it's just the constant fussy baby diapers on the internet that are like, why did you go find something else to do if this is what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I heard a suggestion from one of the hosts of Star Wars Minute. I'll admit I don't listen to a ton of Star Wars podcasts. I listen to Star Wars Minute quite a bit. Have for a long time, so shout out to that one. But one of the hosts was like, every Star Wars show should just start with a character telling a story, so that you then excuse any kind of canon like BS, anything that you want, you can just kind of let drift out of your headcanon. If it's Lando being like, well, let me tell you about the time, blah, blah, blah. It's like Lando maybe embellished some,
He could have fudged some of those memories. Wasn't New Hope originally supposed to be like, it's being told from the perspective of R2-D2, or like it's R2-D2's memories or something?
I have never heard that, but that sounds pretty rad. R2-D2's rusty memory base. We're
just going to call that true.
So I guess what we're saying is, like, we're not the most uptight people as Star Wars fans.
No. And
we're also not the most reverent Star Wars fans, in that we don't just heap praise on every little detail.
Listen, we set out a course when we started this podcast to balance the Force.
That's right?
There are both the light and the dark sides of the Force, and within that there is a balance within Star Wars itself. I think that's a good thing to have, to be able to look at something with a critical eye and say, this is something that is done really well, and then to at the same time without being overly emotional say, I didn't like this about this.
Right.
It's okay to critique things. It's how you know that you care as a fan, but there's a way that can be done, and I think the internet has led to a lot of toxic ways in which that is done, and which is why I tend to avoid going on Twitter when Kenobi comes out, because it's just like a barren wasteland of takes, and I'm like, no, let's have discourse. Let's talk about it, which is what I love, you and I coming on and talking for like an hour about an episode, as opposed to let me fire off a tweet and then fire off another tweet. Like, this is not how I want to engage with something that I really enjoy. I want to talk about it. I want to discuss it, figure out what it is that I like about it, think about what can be done better, because that's how things improve is critical feedback.
Yeah.
And I think not to be too reverent and say this is perfect. I have no notes for Kenobi. This is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, I have some notes.
Yeah, I think
there are
we're
some
all
things that could be better.
As human beings, like, I'm not going to criticize the engine plans of a jet fighter because, I have but I think all of us as human beings are allowed to have some opinions about storytelling, right? Like, I think it's a part of all of our lives, regardless of, like, technical know-how and or education around it. So yeah, if you disagree with our discourse, hit us up in the comment section of our YouTube. Send us an email.
Engage with the hosts here, people.
Yeah.
We love that.
And you know what? If you just flame us, we'll probably just leave you a little thumbs up and move on. That's how it'll go. But yeah. So I am stoked, BC. I'm really excited to talk about this episode. I know you've done the lion's share of the work here. You've got a little outline of the beats. I'm excited to remember and relive.
Yeah, so again, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning for the original watch, right? The alpha watch, the no notes, pure enjoyment. I'm up, I'm excited, I'm watching Kenobi. Enjoyed it. There's a lot of stuff that I really liked about it. The rewatch, when I'm taking the notes, I get kind of like fussy, and I take little notes. I'm like, oh, this is this, whatever. But that's just me taking the notes on it. I think and you noted too that you enjoyed it more on your second watch.
I felt
the same way. Yeah, I do too. I've had that experience, I think, with almost every episode where it's like, oh, it's better the second time for me.
The thing that really rings true about why that is for me, just to get a little bit ahead, is like when we have cutting between different plot lines in something, I'm always worried about how is this going to time out? And like, is Obi-Wan going to make it back to Tatooine on time? Are they going to cut this short to do this? And once I have all that settled in my brain, I can kind of just roll with it.
And I think it's a big feature of this series in particular is the A and the B stories kind of that we've been getting. And I noticed in this one, and this is a nit that I will pick, is the amount of cutting back between the two of them. Sometimes it's just so fast. I'm like, can I just sit with one story for a moment and then we can go somewhere else? So we'll get into that. I'll start going through our rundown of episode 6, the season 1 finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll talk at the end about what the chances are we think that they're going to do season 2. So for episode or part 6, I apologize. This is not an episode of television. This is part.
That's right.
Of a series. We open on Tatooine. Guess what? Reva's alive. She's alive. And she is looking for a farmer named Owen.
Not only is she alive, she's not worse for wear.
She's got a little like. I guess she's got like maybe like a little like.
I guess that's true. Maybe that did play out. I just didn't even. It didn't even occur to me that she wouldn't be fully patched up when she made it to Tatooine, and I think I didn't think about that. That makes a little bit more of it believable for me later on. So yeah, I guess she's hunched.
It's there, but I would have expected a little more, because when we last left her, she was like face down in the dirt crawling.
What if she's got Grogu on her ship?
That's going to be Grogu's voice, just a spoiler for everybody. Oh, for sure. So I hope everyone's excited about that. Yeah, so she's looking for a farmer named Owen. because she found the cell phone that Haja dropped that Obi-Wan gave to him when he went to face Vader in the last episode. Or face Vader or run away. Run away.
Yeah.
No. When he went to talk to Reva and then ran away with the rest of the group. That was a whole thing. Anyway, he dropped his phone. Haja dropped his phone that had very sensitive information from Bail Organa on it. So we've got that. So we know she's on the pursuit. She knows little boy Luke is there. And we're going to cut to Vader pursuing the Pathlings, who, as we know, hyperdrive's still down, of course. It's so hard to find a reliable hyperdrive these days, but they're working on it. And my feeling initially when I saw this was Obi-Wan's going to do something to try to buy them some time, and by gosh, if I'm not correct about that. So this is where we start getting that like Last Jedi vibe of that entire plot thing that happens.
Yeah.
Of, like this giant ship is just going to keep firing on us until we can get this thing fixed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just, I mean, this is one of the technical things I get hung up on in The Last Jedi. And here, it's just like, well, if you're fast enough to catch up to the ship, why aren't you fast enough to catch up to the ship, right? Because it wasn't right on their tail last episode. They were like, they're coming. So I mean, I can't even, I would just get derailed if I tried to talk about why it's frustrating to me. But I will say, kind of, the fact that Vader is like, more firepower is kind of exactly the whole issue with me. Is like, that's not doing anything. You're not doing anything to solve this problem at all. Like, you're not trying. And nor are they on the escaping ship, really. They're just kind of chilling for a good long while. Which drives me nuts.
That they're working on it. It's a bad motivator. We don't see anybody doing anything.
But
someone somewhere is working on it. Another question, technical question. Would there be like TIE fighters on the Star Destroyer?
There's clearly an Imperial shuttle there.
Right. So, well, we'll get into that Imperial shuttle in a second, but it just felt like if they wanted to catch them.
Yeah. They could.
But
I guess they want information, right? Maybe they're waiting on it to run out of gas.
I'm just going to chalk this one down to Star Wars reasons that this did not occur.
Yeah.
And by Star Wars reasons, I mean writer's room reasons.
Because you can't reshuffle this chain of events for there to be no issue. You can say, the hyperdrive is down, Obi-Wan. Then Obi-Wan can have all the conversation he's going to have, which is, I have to leave to be a distraction.
Right.
And then you have the Star Destroyer show up, right? And then you have Obi-Wan leave, and then they go away. Instead of all of this happening while on screen the ship is dodging and weaving to get away from laser blasts, and then when we cut to the inside, everyone's chill as hell.
Just hanging out, baby. Well, no. So we'll push back. They're not chill. Leia's got to get Lola out to calm people down because she says they're scared, and Lola helps take their mind off of it. And then Obi-Wan's like, "Well, maybe I could borrow her too." Little foreshadowing. Chekhov's Lola. I think, and just talking about this just now, it's we can see the flaw in this, right? In terms of the logistics. If I'm me at 8 years old or 7 watching this for the first time,
right?
I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen?
yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So there, and I do think that this, and this, not to get too far off of our dedicated recap here, I do think this series in general is playing to one of the broadest spectrum audiences that it possibly can.
Yeah. Because
it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they've already started saying, like, this is the most streamed thing Disney Plus has ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, it's like crushing their streaming records. So it's like, we want to bring everyone into this. And we talked a couple weeks ago about, like, this probably isn't going to be the rated R Logan version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is going to be, fun, big family entertainment. So, I mean, it makes sense that they're able to just go, we're not sending TIE fighters because that's not how this story
because we just
work.
cut back to the ship. We cut back to the other ship. Yeah.
And then we'll cut to Tatooine, and people will forget about it. Like kids won't know, which is fine.
I agree. And if the show didn't hold up in other areas, I would have more of a problem with it. But, this is just we're just kind of getting to where we're going. So,
we are literally moving the plot along at this point. Like, I mean, that's the function of what is happening here. It's not a lot of let's put a lot of Star Wars logic and technical jargon to the crucible here. Let's just go with it. And in the mindset of, I'm just going to go with this, has allowed me to enjoy this a lot more.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Opposed to, well, that doesn't work.
And let me tell you, I could get past a lot when he got Darth Vader on the bridge of a Star Destroyer. I love it.
Looking great.
Yeah.
Looking good. So yeah, we've got a little bit of that action. We're gonna cut again. We're gonna go back to Tatooine, where little boy Luke and Owen are doing some shopping for parts, and they get the warning, hey, there's a scary lady who's asking for you by name.
Yeah.
And then we're going to cut again over to the other story A, I will call it, where Obi-Wan is telling Leia that he's leaving to buy time. There it was. It's funny because he's done this, I think, in at least 5 of the 6 episodes.
There's so much you could just cut at least one of these planets out. Right, because it is repeating so much. You could definitely you see where this was maybe a movie and they spread it out into episodes, right?
Yes.
And I will be doing a fan edit with a buddy of mine. I think I'm committed to that, so we'll see if I can maybe even cut a planet out and pretend it's on the same planet. But we'll see what happens.
Just merge 2 of the really dark ones together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, don't worry, you are the future. What's important is that you survive, not me. Again, he's doing his shtick. We're gonna cut back to a highlight for me. Beru!
That's right. Finally, Beru has arrived.
Justice for Beru. Owen returns back to the Lars farmstead and tells Beru, hey, something wicked this way comes. And we get a little bit of this is a little flavoring for one more season, the stage play that we will be writing about Owen and Beru and their time on Tatooine. We get a little bit of salt about this because she's like, why do you think Obi-Wan Kenobi's gone? You D-bag. You've been shooing him away. And it seems like she's got, it's almost like a lust or a yearning for Obi-Wan to still be there. It may be more directly tied to the fact that he's a Jedi who might be very useful in this particular
But
situation.
you and I really want to write this story about some romantic tension between the 2 of them.
Beru has big dreams, and she doesn't just want to be on a farm, and we all know it.
We
all know it.
As you can see here, she's a determined woman, BC.
Oh, I love it. I love the way she's taking action. She's like grabbing blasters. She's like, we're prepared for this. She's going to come when the suns are down. Which has a great line when she's like, when the suns are down. You're like, yeah, twin suns, when the suns are down.
Yeah. Which doesn't really make any sense because she's maybe bleeding out and could just murder people. But yeah, it's a good line.
She's taking her time. She's taking her time. She's going to be tactical about this and also wait for it to be darker so it's easier on the FX team to do some of these shots. We're going to cut back. Again, the fast cuts are coming, just at a whiplash speed here. Ben gives Leia the blaster holder. I believe it's Tala's blaster holder. Yep.
Where she has the notches of the operations she's done.
Yes. Yeah. And then he's getting ready to depart. Lightsaber in hand, and he's got his I have to face him, master. Whether he dies or I do, this ends today.
And you're like, here's where Qui-Gon comes. Or at least I was like, here he comes.
I'll tell you when I thought he was coming. It's a little bit later.
I
was wrong. I was wrong about that one
too.
Yeah. No, incorrect. So, and this ends today, which it's not going to. It's going to end in 1977. But yes, sure, it ends today. Obi-Wan leaves on this escape craft.
Can I this is a last technical that I will pick. Okay, this is we lost so much when we lost Ralph McQuarrie and all of the amazing content. And Doug Chang, I believe is his name. Doug, who did all of the prequel concept art, also an amazing concept artist. Obi-Wan gets in this thing, a ramp folds out, and a ship half the size of the ship they're in just kind of slides out down the ramp. I don't understand.
It's a baffling moment, and the note you have about the concept too, and I noticed this, and I'll just sort of jump the gun. When we're on Alderaan later, I'm not sure if it's the same ship, but the ship that he lands on there, I'm like,
it seems to be.
What is this?
Yeah,
like, what is this thing? What is this?
There's nothing cool about it at all.
No,
like,
there's not.
It's not a strong visual profile. And again, just that it doesn't just like pop off the back of the ship or any of the things we've established. Like the Ghost has a cool, the Ghost crew have a really cool, shuttle.
The Phantom that like
out.
locks in.
Yeah, it's cool. Again, a 2-tiered ramp just folds out and it just slides out. And again, it's too big to fit. So whatever. Anyway, he gets in his weird little spaceship.
It's also, and I don't know how many people can fit in it, so let me be clear about that. But it is a ship that has hyperdrive capabilities that's sitting inside of a ship that does not.
And yeah, you could definitely cram a lot of people in there.
Just a thought I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
Just a note that I have, which is funny to me. Again, let's not worry too much about
that's
these
the
things,
last time. That's the last time I'll bring it up.
It may not be the last time I bring something up, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny moment where it just like flops out of the back. It was like, oh, okay. And so Obi-Wan, he leaves in his escape craft, and Vader, you know what? He says, we're going after him because he's got that lust. He says, we're going to take this entire Star Destroyer after that one. And the Grand Inquisitor is like, excuse me, sir. Just a brief reminder, the real mission is everyone who's trying to keep a Jedi legacy alive because they've got like the Underground Railroad of Jedi going on. And he's like, no, that's not just any Jedi, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we'll take the entire Star Destroyer. And the Grand Inquisitor's like, well, okay.
I don't want to die today, so I guess.
Yeah, I guess we will be your taxi service to take you to Obi-Wan.
Trying to reconcile this, BC, I still think that Darth Vader knows Leia as his daughter, and I think he knows she's on that ship. And regardless of if it's Vader or Anakin who like is letting them get away, if it's Vader, it's like, actually, I want those people as apprentices later. Let's not blow them up. But yeah, it's a baffling thing to not just be like, I'll take my shuttle. You guys go after them.
I love that idea. I wish there was something in the story that gave us that moment. You know what I mean? That like hinted at the thing about Anakin sensing something and clearly making a decision not to go after it, as opposed to just being like, Kenobi.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I like a dog chasing a bone. He's like, Kenobi.
And
I've got to go after him. Like,
the Death Star guns slowly list that way.
Like, you could have him sitting there. You could cut to Leia, like a Force-sensitive moment. Now, this would be a big canon leap, obviously, which is going to upset people. But it's like, if you have a moment of him sensing something and recognizing something and then saying, no, listen, I'm Lord Vader.
We're going after that one.
Yeah. I think that would be vastly more interesting than just sort of like a dogged pursuit of Obi-Wan, where Obi-Wan's just like, he'll follow me no matter where I go.
Yeah, because we already used that card. We already used it.
We have played that before, and it works, and it's still gonna pay off for the big showdown that's gonna come.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be an interesting beat if there was some kind of recognition of why is he not going after this? Like, why is that decision hard for him? As opposed to just Kenobi. Where it's like, yeah, we know you want Kenobi. Like, we get that. He chopped you up and left you for dead on the shores of Mustafar.
Yeah, he's probably the last surviving council member, minus Yoda.
Yeah.
No, I definitely want Windu back. They're definitely going to make a Mace Windu TV show in the next couple of years.
That has to happen. It's got to happen. Old man Mace Windu.
Samuel L. wants it so bad. Once again, he was interviewed recently again, and he was like, I'm not doing Oscar bait movies, I want to swing a lightsaber around.
Yeah.
He is out there on the campaign trail to be
he's ready for
it,
it, man. He's ready for it. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, I love that idea. I just wish they'd given us a beat, anything that even if it's not directly tied to Leia, something that like a pause as to why he's like, no, I'm just gonna go after him. But fine, like we're still in like moving plot, right? Everything about this is moving to these large set pieces that exist in the story. So I think we kind of overlook some of those beats, which is fine. And then we get, there's really funny shots of Obi-Wan's little craft like dodging around in space. I'm like, that's so funny.
Again, no offense to whoever built it. For me, it's a dumb looking ship. There's nothing cool about it dodging the laser blast. Nor does it make sense that you can't shoot a thing like that. Looks like that. That looks like a fly you should be able to swat.
It does indeed. Yeah. So we get all that happening, and then we're going to, as we always do in the beginning, cut to the Lars family preparing for Reva. Owen tells Luke to be prepared to run.
He says, I'm not afraid.
Do you want to get it out of your system now, how much you hate this child?
Look, last night when I watched it, when I watch things late at night, cheesy stuff lands way worse for me. On a rewatch, I didn't mind him so much. When I watched it the first time, I was like, this is really bad. And I was a little worried for him. I was like, people are going to dislike this child, and he's just a child doing his job. Mostly they just don't use him in dialogue much. I think he looks way too Hollywood to be a farm boy on Tatooine. Like, he doesn't look like a Luke to me. He looks like someone from the same casting agency as Leia, right? Like, it makes sense for Leia to look like a child movie star. This kid looks like they cast him as a child model. Now, that said, if you're going to cast a child and ruin their lives, you should probably cast someone who's already embroiled in Hollywood and, is already being taken around to auditions by their parents. And that's what this child seems like to me. It's like, he's already in the game. He's got a million headshot sessions. He's going to be Luke. He'll probably be fine. Or at least I hope he's fine. So I'm not going to complain. I just think...
I mean, my hope anytime I see a child actor on screen is always I hope they're fine. Because it's a psychotic parent who is doing all of that. I mean, at the heart of it, like, they may enjoy acting, but it is a parent who's like, we're going to take you out of school, we're going to get you headshots, we're going to get you to this audition, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. There's very few children like, you know what, get me CCAA or whatever the agency is on the phone. I'm going to need to talk... I'm going to need to talk to my agent. I want to see some scripts on my desk by the end of the day. I want to get in the room with some people. I want people to know my face.
I would love to spend the next week going to rooms and being rejected. That's what I would.
As a child, it's just things that we all craved, I think. So I mean, seeing kids in anything, I'm always just like, I hope you turn out to be well adjusted, and that this doesn't ruin you too much. Shout out Jake Lloyd, Justice for Jake. Those t-shirts are going to be coming from the cargo bay soon. Yeah. So we've got them getting prepared. Owen is telling Luke to be prepared to run, and then Owen and Beru are like gearing up for battle, which I'm like, I was so on board for this. I love
that they have like farm guns, sawed off like Tusken Raider rifles, basically, is what it looks like.
Go bag a Womp Rat or something,
It reminds me of that Star Wars Galaxy card, shout out Hobby Talk episodes, but there's a Star Wars Galaxy card that is Owen and Beru, like, shooting stormtroopers as they're, like, as they're coming to burn them to death. And it's just a cool card. And on the back of the card, the artist is like, I always wondered if Beru and Owen put up a fight before they went down, because that place is burned up.
Beru was putting up a fight.
Yeah, it seems like.
She never got, the off of the farm. She always had one more season, which is the tragedy of Beru Lars. The real tragedy.
One more season Lars. Premiering on Broadway in 2024.
Coming soon. So now we will go back again. Vader says, prepare my ship. And the Grand Inquisitor's like, we couldn't have done that before? We couldn't have 2 birds, 1 stone this thing? No? We couldn't have done that? Your face is frozen, unfortunately. So I've lost you again. But I'll keep going. No, I won't. I won't keep going.
Okay. We're back again from not having technical difficulties.
No technical difficulties here.
I just had to take a
bay.
Very sudden restroom break.
It was like that ship falling out of that other ship is what it was like.
Like a Russian doll.
Yeah, so obviously no interruptions at all. Picking right up where we left off. Vader says, prepare my ship. And the Grand Inquisitor is like, why didn't you do that earlier? You could just tell the look on his face is like, you had it. There was a ship there. You could have gone after him yourself, because Vader literally says, I will face him alone. And the Grand Inquisitor is like, why do we bring a Star Destroyer? Why is there a Star Destroyer? Can anyone help me out with that?
And Vader says, because this is about to be badass.
Because you are going to want to see this. Which is true. We are going to want to see it. Yeah, so the Pathlings are long gone at this point. They're well in the distance. The Star Destroyer is just kind of like hanging out, hovering above, while Vader takes the shuttle.
No, it's not just hovering above. It does a full pivot to turn and face Obi-Wan, I think. Which
I wonder how much strain that puts on a Star Destroyer when it's just cruising and they're like, we have to change course immediately. Darth Vader wants to follow Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, to the silver lining here, or I guess it's all fine. But the Star Destroyer looks great. It looks very cool.
Yeah,
totally impotent, a very ineffective craft, but looks very cool.
Looking great.
The shuttle, however, looks immaculate. Ooh.
Oh, you know me. I'm a sucker for an Imperial shuttle.
Yeah.
I love them. I love the look of that.
When that comes out of something, it has a defined profile. You can see from a million miles away and be like, that upside down Y, that's a shuttle.
That space Lego's taking off. No, it looks cool. It's a fantastic ship. It's a beautifully designed ship, and I love it.
And it's cool to see Vader, using it. The shot where it lands here, which I believe is this just continues to him landing on the planet, right? Or do we cut back to Obi-Wan?
So we cut to Obi-Wan because we're going to have Obi-Wan discovering that Leia has snuck Lola right in his pocket, so he won't be as scared.
It's very sweet.
Very sweet gesture. You'll love to see it, and then he just leaves it. He chucks it on the dashboard and is like, what am I going to do with this?
Yep.
I'll tell you what you do. You put a restraining bolt on it, and then you sick that thing on Vader. That's what you do with it.
Yeah, it seems like Lola is running out of power at this moment. He pulls it out, it just kind of sits there, it waggles its wings a little bit, and then he sets it crooked on the dashboard, and it stays crooked on the dashboard.
A subtitle wonder that you get out of this is Lola lets out a nervous beep.
That's the...
Yeah. Yeah. She lets out a nervous beep, and then Reva.
I think we've decided Reva, yeah.
Reva arrives on the Lars farm. It's time. Cut back! That's all we get. That's basically all we get. It's time. We cut back. Vader's ship is landing. Beautiful sight.
Cool. Looks awesome.
Majestic. Like watching a flight of condors just take off and land. And then we're going to get the beginning of the Obi-Wan and Vader showdown. Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan? I will do what I must. And then something we've all been clamoring for, the old two-finger point, baby.
The over-the-head two fingies. And
I love it. It got me jacked. It got me so psyched. I was like, yes!
Just one of the reasons why I enjoyed this episode much more a second time, and something I want to get out of the way here, is that Obi-Wan's leveled up, all right? Obi-Wan's back to being Obi-Wan for this fight. You just have to accept it and roll with it. Because the first time I watched this, there were a lot of moments where I was like, how is he I thought the whole show was going to be the arc of that, but I haven't seen that happening, right? And maybe if it was just a time jump, occasionally in the show, that would have helped. Anyway, we're not going to get a real justification for why he is. Whatever. I don't need it. So on a second time, that's when I got really jazzed, when he was just like, I'm here to do what I must. I'm gonna be cool again.
I think initially, because when we first talked about parts 1 and 2, it's like, oh, this is going to be him like getting his groove back. His groove does sort of like it's starting, then it's like it's back. It goes on like a huge curve, like a huge upward my powers back curve, and at this point, once he did the finger point move, it was like I didn't even care. I was ready for it.
Can I give a little insight here, maybe, or a little prediction here?
I would love it.
So I think part of what is fueling Obi-Wan is something new, which is passion and attachment. He is thinking about Leia and Luke. And so we're maybe getting into this like little bit of a bridge between Obi-Wan's force and Luke's force.
You're speaking my love language. And guess what? He's going to be reconnecting with someone at the end of this episode who sees some of the flaws in those Jedi systems, and who might be a sort of a mentor again to him.
Yeah, I like it.
I think we're cooking with gas now, baby. Well, I think let's put a pin in that and come back to that idea at the very end of this, because I like that thought a lot. And you're right, because we're going to start cutting between these things so much that I wish I had broken it down a little bit better, but here's kind of what's going to go on. So he does the finger point. Vader says, "Then you will die." We get a little bit. We get the amuse-bouche, just a little bit of the beginning of that fight.
It is cool though. It is cool that he's already got his lightsaber in his hand when Vader shows up. It's very cool.
He's ready to go.
Yeah,
he's ready to go. And then cut to Reva. Intruder alert. She's just like in the house, like a horror movie villain. She lights up her saber. Owen and Beru are like camped out, ready to fire. And then we're gonna cut to the other fight again. Vader and Obi-Wan. We see within the fight itself, Obi-Wan's skills are coming back, and Vader comments on it. He says, "Your strength has returned, but your weakness still remains." So like he's even acknowledging, like, okay, the last time I fought you, you were like an ineffectual person that I just drove into the ground and dragged through fire.
Yeah.
Not as easy this time. Maybe I shouldn't have been so gung-ho about my I'm going to do this alone idea when I had a Star Destroyer full of people who we could have just killed you. But he was ready to go alone, and Obi-Wan's like, baby, I'm ready to go.
I think we've already had some echoes of the fight from the last episode, the flashback fight. I know they do the back-to-back.
Back-to-back,
thing,
very noticeable.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which I love seeing any of those echoes of like, and I'm sure that's, we've talked about this on our when we were talking about the movies and some of the choreography in those. Just in terms of the fight, the way that the storytelling is choreographed into them has always been one of my favorite things about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And about lightsaber fights in general is how the choreography is telling the story too. Here, I mean, I don't know how many moves are being borrowed from the Mustafar fight, from the fight that they had in the previous episode, from any other number of engagements that they've had. But you can tell that they went back and were like, these are how these two know each other. This is how they fight. This is how they adapt to each other based on everything we know about their fighting styles. And it's real. This is a great lightsaber fight.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, this is a top tier saber fight.
This is a top tier lightsaber fight, and
we're gonna be Star Wars rhyming all throughout it. We're setting up Star Wars they rhyme all over the place here.
This is it's just such a good lightsaber fight, and we're just getting into it. Because Vader's kind of got the upper hand. After he gives him that your strength has returned, but your weakness still remains, he does like a force move on the ground that like crumbles the earth underneath Obi-Wan. And
first he pulls a rock to trip him, which I like. Like, it looks good. And then he just creates a cavern and throws him in there.
And then he just kind of leaves him there to die.
He's got the high ground, though. We got that great high ground shot, super up at Vader with his saber almost being like an inch long. The perspective is so, sharp.
It's so
very cool.
Yeah. And he gives him the line, Did you truly think you can defeat me? You have failed, Master.
Calls him Master so that we get the canon all straightened out.
Yeah. Yes. Now I am the Master. Yeah. Only Master of Evil, Darth. And then we're going to cut back. Reva chucks some stuff at Owen. Poor Owen. He's putting up a pretty good fight considering she has a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So
Owen looks good at taking blows. He's doing good work taking these hits.
This is a man who works in the field for a living. He's had a hard life. He knows what it means to take a beating, and take a beating he does. And
he falls on the ground, and he's on the ground, and he's like, "Baru, the evil lady's coming.
Watch out, Baru! Baru, watch out!" We do.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it is very funny.
Baru, she's coming. Baru, alert, Baru! I'm down. We do get a nice little moment in this fight, which is, she says, "You really love the boy like he's your own," because he is putting up such a valiant fight against someone who should just be able to done. And he says, "He is my own." And I'm gonna pick a nit here, and I want to talk about this.
Okay.
And this is a small moment in the fight, but I want to unpack it because I did not understand it. Maybe you can shed some light on this for me. He says, "What do you want?" Her answer is justice.
Yeah. So what she is
For
saying
what?
is, Vader killed a bunch of children. I'm going to kill his child. That is the justice. Is you killed me and my friends. I'm going to kill your offspring. I can't kill you. I'm going to kill your younglings. Right?
Okay.
I think it's clunky. But what I want to focus on in this same exchange is that, because something my fiance liked this whole Reva stuff more than I did in this episode. I like Reva as a character. I was expecting more from this arc, honestly, than what we got.
Yeah, I agree.
But something she highlighted for me is no, I was actually really drawn into this, and what we get in this moment is her, the realization, or starting to plant the seed of you're not actually going to kill Vader's son. You're going to kill my son. You're going to kill this poor farmer's son. It's not the son of Vader anymore, which is something that I didn't even like. I was just kind of let me ignore this so we can get back to the to what's going on with Vader and Obi-Wan. But it is.
Darth Vader's fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi over there. Can I please?
Owen's got the stick from the trash compactor, which upsets me. It's in the background of a Mandalorian shot, which is perfect. But the fact that it's now a weapon that's on the farm is a little too much for me.
It's like universal PVC in Star Wars.
yeah.
In the Star Wars universe. Yeah, to me it was just I've had a hard time kind of understanding her motivation throughout. There are things that are very clear to me that it's oh, she wants to exact her revenge. Help me track this, okay? So, Order 66. Her pals are killed. She sees Anakin Skywalker. She is able to escape with her life. She vows to get revenge on Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
Who is now Darth Vader.
Right.
So what she does is join the Inquisitors.
Right.
Who go out and kill Jedi and sometimes Jedi younglings, which is a thing that she saw that traumatized her to no end. Is this... She's saying the ends justify the means as long as I'm able to get close to Vader.
I think she does become, this arc does turn her into a Sith. I know she's not technically a Sith, but I think it does turn her into the Sith where it's the only goal is revenge in the same way that Anakin's only goal is saving Padme or whatever.
Okay.
I think it's clunky too. And we don't know how long she's been an Inquisitor.
There's talks about her getting her own show, which would be great if they... And this is another thing I don't necessarily love about Star Wars. They're we'll go do a show to fill in some gaps and make things make sense. Just make it make sense the first time.
Yeah.
And then,
ignore the backstory and keep going. I'd like to see her show up in Ahsoka or something,
Yeah. She clearly will be or could be, has the potential to be a powerful ally to the rebellion going forward at this point. But just the thrust, even from the last episode, where it was okay, She took her shot at Vader. She's been working this entire time to take her shot at Vader, and she got her ass kicked immediately. Like, she's been working years and years and years, and Vader's like, whap, like swatting a fly.
Did you notice did you watch the recap?
Yeah, I think so.
In the recap, it's just such a better cut where Vader's like pulls the ship down, rips it apart, and the other ship goes away, and then they cut immediately to her behind him. Like,
yes.
And it's just such a smoother, like more believable, like cut.
Like, just do that.
Yeah.
Instead of like sneak, boom. Yeah.
But
because it motivates that moment too of like, I've got my shot, I'm not going to waste it, I'm going right
instead of
him.
like, this didn't go as planned. I'm still gonna try.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm just having a hard time squaring some of that, the motivation.
Because I didn't know what she was going to do with Luke when she got the thing. Like, I wasn't like, she's going to go kill him, you know?
No.
I wasn't sure about that.
The thing that I was sure of at the end of the last episode, and having gone back and listened to it, I was wrong to one degree. I was like, oh, she just like made her turn. Like, she's going to be on the path of the right. Which is why it was unclear to me when she got the comm thing. It was like, oh, now I'm going to go kill this boy because I couldn't kill Vader. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. That moment didn't make any sense. I'm like, oh, you just tried to defeat the big bad. You failed. The revenge thing is the great motivator that keeps us alive, whatever. Especially relating to the dark side, revenge being an all sort of consuming thing for people who are having a little dalliance in the dark side of the Force. But I just didn't square that thing. I always felt after that moment when she was like, you know, I'm kind of working with you, Obi-Wan, to get my shot at Vader. And here's the other thing. Just from a pure, we know the story. Luke's not in danger. We know he will be fine.
Yeah.
Like, so anything
and
that
probably
she does, we know she's not going to kill him.
He shouldn't see a lightsaber, really. You know, like he shouldn't.
Oh, like, what's that?
Yeah. He should really be in the dark about all of this stuff. So
yeah, it just didn't make sense that she was on the hunt for Luke Skywalker. But I get that, like, we have to put her somewhere in the story and tie it up somehow. I just don't think it was very elegantly done. I think there was something else.
I think a lot of this was rushed.
Yes.
Like, especially here, right at the end of her stuff. It just feels like it's crunch time. I don't know.
I mean, it also would have... I don't know. Having to deal with established canon with some of these things and introducing Luke Skywalker into it, who is Omega tier character in Star Wars, just makes everything such a fine balancing act that telling the story had to have just been like, oh, we can try this and then get away with it. Like, you're trying to thread a needle on some of this stuff, and I just thought her pursuit of him never really made sense to me. Even though it's like, here's a comm link, it says where he is. Okay, yeah, she's gonna go there. But even seeing that, I was like, he's not in danger. I know he's gonna survive. I had the sense that she already has misgivings about the dark side that's within her, that she has that call to the light that is still inside of her. So this whole pursuit, I was like, I just don't buy her being invested into, like, I'm going to kill this child.
Yeah, especially
like,
not before she heals up. You know?
Right, like, yeah.
It's not that urgent. I guess Obi-Wan could go back and move him or whatever. I don't know. But
yeah. And then as she's, you know, pursuing Luke, she's got the flashes of Order 66, so we're starting to see that happen. That's kind of, I guess, where we begin to see doubt creeping into this of like, and your point I love, which I completely missed, or maybe it was Figueroa's point, is of that this isn't Anakin's son. This is Owen's child.
Yeah.
Anakin has no idea who this is.
Yeah.
This child
only
belongs to
Reva
else.
knows that it's his son. Yeah.
At this point, yeah. And so she, you know, is starting to see, oh, if I kill him, I'm not hurting Anakin at all.
Yeah.
I'm not getting revenge on him. I'm just hurting these poor farmers who are taking pot shots at me. Yeah. Although she does have a little motivation because Beru smacks her right in the face
it's a great
when she
hit.
walks through a door. Oh, love it.
It's like, I don't know how they did it. I didn't like break it down, but it's one of the only times in the show where I've been like, "Ooh, wow, that's a good one."
Yeah, it was lovely to see. Yeah, so it just she gives her a smack. She continues pursuing Luke, and then we're gonna cut back. Obi-Wan, he's under those rocks.
Yeah,
he's got a little force action going on.
He's been crushed in the pit.
Yeah, he's in the thick of it. This is where I thought Qui-Gon was gonna come be like, you gotta get out of this.
And I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it's not, though.
I like where it happened, and I will get to why I loved where it did happen at the end. But yes, this moment too, and again, back to a point you made that it's about connections for him, which is what is powering him up to get out of the situation. I have a motivating force in my life, and we see very clearly it is those children whose parents I knew and whose parents I loved, and children that I need to protect from this new evil that exists and the danger that they are in. So we get him forcing his way out from the rock pile, getting out from underneath that. Vader, we see Vader's like walking away all like, oh no, I sense something. And Obi-Wan is coming in hot, force rock throw, boom. I love the rocks that are being thrown around in this, and we are going to get...
Jedi are good with rocks, man. They're basically earthbenders, I've decided. Yeah. But the visceral nature of this chunk of the fight is really good.
This is the most god tier display force that I've seen Obi-Wan have when he's just like... When he's summoning 1,000 rocks and just pummeling Vader.
Which, again, the first time rocks. I was like, wait a second, how do you level up here? And once I'm just like... Fuck it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Once you're like, he's got to protect kids, and that's a good reason.
And he's reaching into a place that Jedi think is forbidden. Maybe. Yeah.
It's true. That is true. It's like it's almost like it's new ground for him.
Yeah.
In terms of what he's able to do in the Force, and one of the things I love about the Force is like the way that it manifests in different Jedi. Right. That there are different Force powers in everybody. Reading the High Republic book, where you've got I think what's the main female Jedi?
Man, the names are not going to come to me.
I think it may be Avar Kriss. She's the one who's basically got like the battle meditation.
Yeah,
where she's like linking hundreds of Jedi together so that they're working in unison. You're like, that's a pretty nice power to have. And so if you think about it this way,
that's also been established in the old canon too. Like that is like the primo Jedi power. Like that's the height of the Jedi powers. Is this like school of fish?
That's Bastila, right? She's got that battle meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
at least I think you're right. I haven't played that game in a while, but
I think it is. It's you see Obi-Wan doing something we've never seen him do before, and I think it's really interesting territory if it's like, hey, you're starting to unlock some parts of your own abilities that people previously said you can't do that because of these Jedi rules that when we talked about, the prequel trilogy, like a lot of stuff that the Jedi were doing was stupid and they were really bad at their jobs for a little while. And maybe saying don't form attachments was hindering them in some ways. Because if you see it in the hands of pure good in like Obi-Wan, connection and attachment seems to manifest in like a big badass rock throwing party that can come in helpful against a Sith Lord.
It's like the big save the day power.
Yeah. Obi-Wan, and after he does this, he just goes to town on Vader. I love him going after the
chest
power
box.
The chest box on him, just like boom, boom. You're like, yes, sick.
When Vader starts to wheeze like he does in Return of the Jedi.
Ooh.
It really hit me in a certain, like, he's so broken and pitiful that I'm really like, am I really like, and just the realization, like, as soon as he starts to get beaten down, you're like, oh my gosh, Vader's not going to win this fight or even come out of it, like, anywhere near on top. We're going to see him lose again. He's going to lose again. It's such a, like, I don't know, it really, like, colors him in a way that I'm like, I don't know. I felt it. It was good. It's like all of this mythology that's existed my whole life. Like these characters, like it really culminated for me in that moment where it's like, wow, I have sympathy for this. For this,
it's true.
like,
and I'll get to some of the really nice dialogue that we have here. Like Obi-Wan, like he crushes the power unit. You hear the labored breathing. Cuts his helmet open, which is going to give us the nice reveal, which is also used in Rebels too, which is a great moment with Vader and Ahsoka, where she's like, she sees Anakin again very clearly, which is a lovely moment. Here, having it in live action, I was like, so good. This is great. I'm glad you used that. This is perfect.
And this is perfect. The mixing, the vocoder, or whatever you want to call Vader's voice box, because we know it's already established in canon, when he takes off his helmet, he speaks differently. Like his voice sounds different. But getting to have the mix of the voices, super effective to me. And also highlights something I've said about Hayden Christensen for a while, which is like, he does talk like Vader. Like he phrases things like Vader, his cadence is like Vader. And here, like, I don't know, it's a great effective tool, I think.
Love it. Love a lot about it. And the visual of it, seeing the face. And you're right, the way it paints Vader is like you. And again, tying to A New Hope. Yeah, the last time I saw you, you were still a master, and I was going to get my ass kicked. Now I am the master. But it does color him as like, yes, he can go on and he can crush rebels on a ship, but if he's going up against someone who is also a Force wielder and as powerful as his Jedi master Obi-Wan Kenobi was, it's a fight, and it's not easy for him. Right? Like, he can go in and he can crush small rebellions, and he can take out regular people and snap children's necks and do all that sort of stuff, which is terrifying. But if he has to go up against someone who is of equal power to him, he doesn't always come out on top. Doesn't always look super great. Like, even when he's fighting Luke later on, Luke when he's in Empire Strikes Back is still sort of leveling up. So it's a good fight, but Vader's going to come out on top. I'm much more experienced, even though I'm older. You still are not, your training is not complete.
I'm kind of testing your training is what I'm doing here.
Really. Exactly. I'm seeing if you might make a potential, hey, why don't me and you get a thing going? So it's a great fight. I love everything about this. The resonance that we get at the end with the exchange after we see Anakin's face, and Obi-Wan just goes, Anakin. Like, and he sees him, and he goes, Anakin.
Ewan McGregor is so good at reaction shots, it's absurd. Like, it's very good.
Just here's what your fan edit should be. Just reaction shots that he has throughout this. Would be like, give this guy everything he wants. His reaction shots in this are just fantastic.
They carry the weight of what has been built better than anything else in the whole franchise does to me. Like, it feels that heavy. It feels like,
and it's wild because even when we talked about A New Hope, it's what Alec Guinness did for that movie.
Yeah.
Where you had an actor in the middle of this space opera who was bringing the levity, who was bringing that presence to a Jedi master, which is a silly thing. Like, this is a British Shakespearean actor who's in space robes in the desert, and it's just like
Tunisia with a dude in a metal suit.
He's like, yeah, you want me to bring the heat? Okay, I can just drop into it, and he drops into it. And Ewan McGregor has that same power and presence on screen, which is why I've been drawn to his, performance in the prequel trilogy, and why I've loved Obi-Wan as a character so much is everyone who's played him, even in Clone Wars and Rebels and Alec Guinness and Ewan, the weight that they bring to him. I buy into Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character.
He's much more human than other Jedi feel to me.
Totally.
Like, he's much more,
and it makes sense because his master is Qui-Gon Jinn, who is much more practical than a lot of other Jedi that we've seen. Who's kind of like, hey, some of this stuff doesn't make sense, so just be a person, Yeah. And so his reactions as we get this sort of final exchange are great. And we get the moment of Vader going, Anakin is dead. I am what remains. And he apologizes, says, I'm sorry, Anakin. I'm sorry for all of it. And then Vader says, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. the same way I will destroy you. And then he says, then my friend truly is dead. Goodbye. And then he walks away.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, goodbye. Goodbye now.
Before we get into the abruptness of it, I do, Hayden Christensen on this press tour, talking about how great it was to reconnect with the character and kind of tie this story together. I kept being like, how is that going to happen? And last week we had the flashback, and I was like, that's probably the peak of what he was talking about. No, this is the peak of what he's talking about. Now he can go back and live on his farm and have his great calm life, because this is such a good pin to put on his performance, and just it's great.
There's it's noted there are several people in the Vader costume, right? There's someone who's like, when Vader needs to look big, there's a big Vader, there's another Vader, and then there's Hayden when he's being Vader. But it's the moment in the last episode in the fight, and it's this that are just like stand out. Hey, if you give this guy good work, good words to play with, really good moments, he's really good in them. I mean, I haven't seen him in...
He hasn't done anything since, I think he did Jumper or whatever it was called, and he married his co-star and had a child and never acted again, I believe.
And has just been having a great life. And
there is a divorce involved. I'm sure there's human trauma. But from all accounts, he and his ex-wife are we're great parents together. Nice. And he's like, I live on a farm, I take care of my kids. I have sheep and I take care of my kids. It's great.
But how nice is particularly this to be a cap that he can a feather he can put in his cap at the end of a long journey with the character being Darth Vader, which is one of the greatest responsibilities probably in cinematic history. We're all right, you're a kid, now you're Darth Vader. It's okay. He's aged into this more. He just sticks the landing on this little button at the end of this fight that I don't know. I was so every little nitpicky thing that I had that I've talked about previous to this moment gone.
Yeah.
Out the window. Everything about this fight and this interaction between these two is this is peak Star Wars.
This is what's important, and this is what the relationship between the actors and their fondness for each other has established. That's part of why we get, those amazing reactions out of Obi-Wan. And it's great. It's something that I did see on a Twitter. I rarely see something I like, and I think it's probably coincidence, but I don't know. Never letting people know what they're doing. When he's saying, you didn't kill Anakin, I did, it's Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber is reflected in his face. And then, the second after, he, his red lightsaber shines back on. It's that one, little peeking out moment of, can't blame yourself, Obi-Wan, I did it. And then he's back to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Another thing, too, and again, we're taking some tangents here at the moment, but you mentioned something about just the connection between the two of them. I love that is at the heart of some of what is happening. Yes, Star Wars is important, but there's a human connection that these two actors have that is important, and it's so nice to see that they've connected in this way and are reconnecting in this way. Hayden talked about when he came back, and the first thing that he shot was that episode, the third episode, where the traveling in the dirt planet with Zach Braff, the mole man.
Yeah.
And we see Anakin in the desert. He's Ewan stayed on set for my coverage for that. He didn't need to be there because it was I was 100 yards away from the camera, but he wanted he was there and he was present for me in that moment. You're movie stars don't have to do that.
Yeah.
If you've ever been on a film set or if you've ever been around film, it's a lot of just standing around and waiting and okay, we're going to roll camera for 5 seconds. Great. We got it. Move on.
Go back to your trailer for an hour.
We're going to set up this shot. It's going to take half an hour. We're going to roll camera for about 2 minutes, get a couple takes, and then move on. The fact that Ewan McGregor, who is a famous movie star, was like, no, I want to be here for my friend coming back as Anakin Skywalker. I want to,
we had this unique experience where we both went through the crucible of critical reception and massive fandom. Like,
can you imagine? I mean, you can. Like, no one can imagine that kind of thing. And seeing them together on the press tour has been like,
yeah, so and now nice. I know that that's justified. Like, now I know that, like, he was right. It does tie into Episode 4, because from the moment we had Anakin cast as Anakin, it's from the moment of Episode 2, watching Episode 2, I was like, how do I reconcile this with the scary Darth Vader that I see? And how is this the same character at all? And at the end of Episode 3, we were getting there, but this does, like, bridge it in a way, down to them having the dual voice, happening, where it's like, oh, I buy it now. This is my canon. I don't have to adjust my head canon anymore to there being different Darth Vaders. This is it for me. It's great.
No, it's lovely, lovely stuff. Which is why I'm not going to nitpick too much that Obi-Wan just says goodbye.
Goodbye. I've been trying to think about that a little bit, BC. I guess maybe he just can't stand to kill Leia's father,
earlier he said one way or another this ends today, which he could have ended it.
And he's like, well,
I think
I texted you. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, you're not Anakin? I was actually here to kill my friend, not the evil Sith Lord. So
yeah, here's the thing. Yeah, I was actually after Anakin, but since you, Darth Vader, killed him, I guess I'll just go. Goodbye.
But you know what? If that's what we need to not compromise the exchange that happened, like, we don't have to write an out that makes a ton of sense, whatever. I'm good.
I'm fine with it. We just heaped praise on that moment for so much. Whatever. I loved it. I loved it. And I don't need to like, oh, he said goodbye and didn't go around and stick a fork in him. Like,
I
whatever.
do think you should have said ta-ta.
Ta-ta! Ta-ta! Darth! would have been a nice little flair. Yes. So after that, we're going to cut to Reva continuing her pursuit of Luke, as this episode does. She catches him. Obi-Wan senses it as he's in the ship. Hits the hyperdrive, baby. We're going back to Tatooine. This is
fast as he can.
This is these.
It'll take a minute or two, I guess.
It is very close. And as so then we got Reva seeing Luke. She's flashing to Order 66.
She sees her own body there.
She sees her. Yeah, we've got that cut that we had previously of Anakin coming through and seeing her, presumably, at that moment of Order 66 from her perspective. And then she's like, you know what, I probably can't kill this kid. And then and somehow he's like falling down and like knocked out.
Well, she force pulled him down the cliff. Okay. And so, gotcha. Yeah, that's what happens.
Here's a technical nitpick. Oh, this episode is very dark. Like, I needed my brightness settings to bump up just a little bit on some of this.
When I watched it in the middle of the night last night, it was plenty bright, and also Luke running around on the cliffs looked awful. It looked really bad. Today, when I watched it in the daylight, it looked much better being very dark. So I think that's what we've done.
Yeah, okay. There's a balance there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan, he lands. He's back. He sees Owen and Beru looking for Luke. He's like, we'll find him. And then just then, Reva arrives with little boy Luke in her arms. She lays him down. Is he dead? Did they kill Luke Skywalker? Is this child? No, he's alive.
Goes,
oh. He wrote, oh. I'm like, whew, Luke Skywalker's alive.
And
load
I'm like,
off my mind.
Sorry, kid, that'll be a meme.
Yeah, you're gonna get memed for that one.
Not your fault.
No,
it's
definitely
cruel
not
world.
Your fault. Again, justice for Jake Lloyd. It's not always the kid's fault.
No. It's almost never the kid's fault.
No, very rarely. So and then she's gonna have her moment with Obi-Wan. We're gonna wrap up Reva here, which is she says, "I couldn't do it. I failed them," referring to her companions.
Yeah.
From Order 66. He killed them all, and I couldn't do it. I'm a little confusion again here for me. Is that what the kids would have wanted who were slaughtered?
Well, that's what Obi-Wan says. You know, he's like, no, that's not what. Yeah, you honored them by not killing him.
You haven't failed them by showing mercy. You have given them peace. You have honored them. Right, because, they don't want you to murder more kids, probably.
Yeah.
I would have thought that through a little bit more, Reva. And he gives her this,
I think we can assume that her logic has been lost. You know, at this point,
yes.
She's been stabbed. She's in a frenzy.
It's a little twisted in her brain.
She hasn't had a Twix in a while.
Yeah, she's left side, right side. She doesn't know where she is. Who you are, who you become now, that is up to you. Now you're free. We both are, he says. So she's all set. The good
rap on Reva.
The turn to the light or some gray variation thereof presumably has occurred, which I thought kind of happened in the last episode, but now it's complete.
Again, this is a disappointment for me because I thought it was one of the most interesting things we've had going in the show. But it's a little sloppy. Whatever. It gets the job done, I guess, for me. And I do want to see more of Moses Ingram in this role. I'm down to see more Reva in whatever iteration.
I would love to see more Reva with some, no offense, Obi-Wan Kenobi writers, a little better writing. Andor. Yeah, or Andor would be good too.
We talked off pod about the production issues.
Yes.
And I think we see a lot of that in this episode. We see a lot of the covering the seams.
Yeah. Which I think we can talk about that in our big, thoughtful recap, which we'll discuss a little bit more about that. And not while we're recording this podcast. So next we are going to go to Mustafar. We're in Vader's castle. And guess who's here, baby?
Yeah, it's Sheev. It's Palps. It's Ian McDiarmid. He's here.
He is here, baby. He is here. I didn't expect it. Very excited, very happy to have it.
I told you, BC, I don't think he was in this show until recently. I think that this is maybe some reused footage of Vader with some new, with this hologram. Because I watched some of him on the press circuit for this or celebration stuff. Unless he is and he is an incredible actor. Yeah, but he really did seem like, no, I'm not going to be in this show, and I'm a little bit put out about it. I'm a little sad that I wasn't asked to be in the show. I think maybe they were like, let's just add this in right quick.
Well, did you ever think about the fact that he's a Sith Lord who's very skilled in deception?
That's true. That's true, BC.
So we get him in hollow form in this. Vader says the probes are tracking everything in range. We will destroy everything in our path until he is found. You seem agitated, my friend. He will not evade me again. I wonder if your thoughts are clear on this, Lord Vader. Perhaps your feelings for your old master have left you weakened. If your past cannot be overcome. So, can his past be overcome? We've got some doubts here from Sheev with his apprentice who has just got his ass kicked. But does have a brand new helmet, which is nice.
Yeah, he's got some spares.
I would love to see his closet of just Vader suits hanging on a rack. He says, Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master. And then we're going to cut.
Well, can I just say, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this canon kind of retcon? Because to me, I like that it is Vader. If it hadn't been planted earlier, where Vader is like, I killed Anakin, he's dead because of me, and now you've got Palpatine saying, is Anakin dead or not, buddy? Because if he's not dead, I'm not interested. And I like this as a way of all these questions about why wouldn't Vader go to Tatooine? Why wouldn't he, investigate his past? How would he not know about his children? I like this clean break of no, I can't be Anakin either. I gotta move on.
I like it a lot. And the thing that I like about it, I think, is just the nature of, I guess, the relationship of the Sith. It's just, it's not great. They tend not to have the best sort of cohesive thing where it's always I'm trying to find a replacement for you.
Yeah.
It's like Dooku's like constantly grooming, like, you can be my apprentice, you can be my apprentice, or you can be my apprentice.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Same
it's
with
just
Vader.
funny
Eventually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just funny the way that works. So it feels very natural for Sheev to be like, well, is this gonna work out or not?
You know, this reminds me a lot of a certain theater company I used to be a part of when I think about it. No, you couldn't be my apprentice. No, you know.
No, you. Because I am Academy Award winner Sheev Palpatine. Or nominee. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, so we get that exchange. I like it. I like it. I think it probably has... Again, we need to get our Sith expert Levi in here. Absolutely. He might be able to shed some more light on their relationship, specifically in the comics in this period, and kind of what's going on between them. But I don't think it's always like sunshine and roses between these two. That there is inherent like just pure distrust between them, as opposed to like, yes, my master, whatever you say, I will do thy bidding. Blah, 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 blah.
What I remember is playing The Force Unleashed, where you play Vader's apprentice, and spoiler alert for that game. Okay, here it comes. At some point in the game, Vader's like, "Oh, you thought you were my apprentice? Actually, this is my main apprentice, dumbass. Like, here you go. You're second bench player apprentice. I'm looking for a lot of people to kill Palpatine."
Right. It's good stuff. You love to see a good mentor-mentee relationship. And this one is probably not the strongest that it's been at this point. So, yeah. Good stuff. Cut to Alderaan.
It's a little bit... It's starting to feel like the Lord of the Rings to me already here. Like the end of Return of the King, where it's like, we're about to get a lot of potential ending points.
We're going to get some closures.
Yeah.
We're going to close some things up. Yeah, we are going to go through the multiple endings. So let's go to Obi-Wan and the Leia ending. So first we get Leia kind of suiting up. A callback to when we first were introduced to the character, or so we thought, in the part 1.
Yeah.
So we're doing that sort of thing. She's dressing up. She's getting kind of like a New Hope kind of whites with a little blaster holster look going on. Again, fun sort of nods to those visual cues that we have. And then so Obi-Wan arrives. She's more excited to see Lola than she is to see Obi-Wan, but that's fine. Again, Obi-Wan arrives in a junk-looking ship that just really was like, come on.
I related to the Lola bit because I was just like, if I showed up and a dog ran out and my favorite person in the world ran out, I'd be like, oh, I gotta see the dog first.
And it does kind of make sense, too, where it's like, yes, she remembers this figure, but it's also like she probably has a stronger connection with Lola at this point. So like, that's the most important thing to her. Yeah. So, yes, we get Bail saying, I fear for her future. The Empire grows stronger and bolder. And Obi-Wan's like, hey, if you need a friend, give me a call, baby.
Do you want to do a few more seasons, Bail?
Yeah, Bail. You wanna do a spin-off show? The Bail Organa show? I would pay money to watch the Bail Organa.
Something different, yeah.
Like palace intrigue, like go back to that. Anyway,
trying to get bills passed and
yes, working in a
in a fascist government.
Yeah, in the Rishi government of fascist empire. So yeah, Obi-Wan's like, I got your back, dog. Don't worry. And then this, a lot of people are talking about moments that choke them up in this episode. This is the one that got me, is when he goes to Leia and says, when I said before that I didn't know your parents, Princess Leia Organa, you are wise, discerning, kind-hearted. These are qualities that came from your mother. But you are also passionate, fearless, and forthright. These are gifts from your father. Both were exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter. I wish I could tell you more. And I was just like, yeah, that's a nice moment.
Yeah, and it's played well on both ends of this.
Yes.
Like, I think this is the best work that the actor who plays Leia does in the show. Like, this whole scene, she's doing good stuff. Like, I believe all of it in this scene. Like, from, the moment her mom comes in or whatever, I'm like, yeah, this is good. And of course, Ewan continues to do his
Crush
thing.
Yeah,
And be really
like
good.
just bringing. I mean, I don't know. It's just something about being a person who has parents, and having that like, and being older and starting to recognize how much I am like them both in different ways, and how I see different things in them in me, and then having that addressed directly in a Star War. I'm like, God damn it! It's like it's just, and having Ewan McGregor be so committed to the Lions, just like that's really nice. It's like your parents, even though your father is who he is now, that's not your dad. Anakin Skywalker is your father, and you have the best qualities about him that are going to bear out in the future, and you have the best qualities of your mother, who tragically died giving birth.
Of a
broken heart. She's lost the will to live. She's just giving up. Yeah,
man. If that were just a way you could pass away, I'd be so dead.
I would have been gone a while ago. He's lost the will to live several times, but he keeps going somehow. He's a medical miracle. She says, "Will I ever see you again?" And he says, "Yes." In 1977, in a movie called Star Wars,
but just briefly in a cargo bay where I'll be fighting
just a little bit
a hangar.
Yeah, so we get that exchange.
It almost feels as though like they're setting up like, oh, can we do another season of Obi-Wan Leia adventures? And I don't think they're actually going to try to do that. But let me just say now, I never want to see Obi-Wan and Leia meet again. The more you do that, the more callous and weird it is that Obi-Wan dies. And Leia does have a moment, right? She is like, look, this sucks, Luke, but we're at war, and I'm used to it. So, like, let's keep moving.
I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. But if it becomes they're like great pals through life, I don't want that.
Yeah, pen pals dropping lines. No.
Yeah.
I think they kind of wrap it up, and I don't have the exact line written down here, but there is something where he's like,
we have to be secret about it.
Yeah,
like basically, like if you send me a message, don't say we're friends.
Yeah,
like your dumb father did.
Yeah,
where he was like Luke Tatooine.
Yeah, that's we're in danger now. Like we are both in danger, and the closer we are together, the greater the danger is. So it's nice that he gives her a little wrap up about her parents, and then he's out of there. He's gonna go back to his cave. He's packing up. He's moving on.
He's getting a cooler outfit. He's cut the sleeves off that Jedi robe.
Yeah, he's leveled up. He's got on his dress whites.
His goggles.
Those things are sick as hell.
I'm telling you, there was like a very expensive action figure, like or statue that came out like 3 years ago that I think is this exact outfit. It's super cool.
He's also packing heat right on his hip too.
Yeah.
He's got the lightsaber on his hip. He's like, I ain't fucking around anymore.
I just screwed up Vader. Who else is gonna come?
Yeah, come and get me. Come and get me. What are you gonna do? Yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he packs up his cave. He's got the T-16.
Got the model in the sack.
Yep. He's ready to head out. He approaches the Lars homestead. I did right with some sick ass goggles.
Yeah.
And then Owen, classic Owen. What are you doing here? He's like, come on, guy. Didn't your wife talk to you about this?
Maybe that's a problem.
Yeah, I thought you were going to keep your distance. And I will. And he says, you were right. He just needs to be a boy. The future will take care of itself. The only protection he needs now is you and Baru. Unless another Inquisitor comes. But no, you're good. He says, take good care of him. And then you get a nice, I will, long pause. This is another moment that almost got me. Ben, you want to meet him. You see a little bit of a turn in him that's like, I've been kind of a dick to this guy. He's been pretty helpful. Do you want to meet this kid whose life, you've thrown your life basically in the gutter for, and I've kept you away from him? I'll give you one last bone. Thanks, Owen.
And again, another just stellar reaction shot that I can't imagine pulling off. Like, it's just laying so well where he's like, yeah, I do want to meet him. Like, I'm quite chuffed about that. Yeah.
He is so good at acting.
He's much better than I ever was.
It's
painful to watch.
Yeah. You're just like, this guy is just dripping with, like, charisma and talent. And then it's gonna drip even more because he gets to meet Luke, and guess what, baby?
Finally,
hello there, with the fucking Santa Claus twinkle in his
Yeah.
eye, man. Like, the take that they got of him doing this, that doesn't make me just want to like bury my head in the sand. That makes me go, he nailed it.
It's not even fan service. They hold the shot a little long, and I'm still like, I don't care. And surely that's where the show could have slammed it to credits, right? Like it could have.
Boom. Drop
but
it.
Because
credits.
it's not just there for the fan service, it's not where it ends. But it is. We don't get any speech from Luke, which I appreciate.
Didn't need it. Hello there. Move on. Right? Like, because they don't need to have a strong bond or anything.
No, they shouldn't.
Like,
in the old canon, he ran into Luke, maybe here, and then like saved his life once more out in the Dune Sea when he was like 12 or whatever.
Yeah, like I'm sure they have, because it seems like he is familiar with him. It's like, crazy old Ben Kenobi.
Yeah. But so Obi-Wan is packing up and moving far away.
He's taking off. So he's heading into the unknown. What's that? Hold on, let me adjust my eyes. A blue human form appearing? Could it be? Qui-Gon Jinn.
It's Qui-Gon Jinn.
Saved for the very end. And he says, Master Qui-Gon, well, took you long enough. I thought you'd never come. I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just weren't ready to see me. Come on. There's a ways to go. End of episode.
End of series.
End of series.
How did you feel about the Qui-Gon BC? Because I was delighted that he was not digitally, weirdly de-aged. It felt so much more like Qui-Gon to me because of it. Like,
please, if we can take anything away from this, is that I think Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, got whatever the de-aging process is to the right place. Yeah. Where it's like, we don't have to turn these people into plastic models.
Yeah.
They can just be actors, and we'll still believe they are who we say they are.
Yeah. We're watching a sci-fi
as opposed to being weird CGI face monsters who don't match the speech that's coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Is perfect. I love this. I love the moment. I love that it came at the very end.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming. I thought it would serve something earlier in the story. I think the fact that it happens now definitely hints that season 2 is going to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of season 2
big season 2 vibes coming off of the end of this here. But like, just the moment of like, again, that like the spiritual force connection that Qui-Gon has had with Obi-Wan has been there, right? Like he has been with him. Which I love him saying, because I don't know, it just connects me to, I'm not a religious person at the moment, but in the past I have been. I will say that I do have like spiritual leanings, those types of like feelings that I'm connected to, something much larger than myself and family and past and history and all that kind of stuff. But just having that moment of like, I have been with you. I have seen your struggle. I have watched you go through these things. And I have been by your side. And I'm sorry that you haven't been able to see me, but know that I was there. Lands very powerfully for me at the end of this episode. Especially seeing all the stuff that he's gone through and knowing that, like, he was getting crushed by Vader and, like, thinking about Qui-Gon being there and watching that and being like, he's just not ready. He's not ready, but now he is. And to me, this is the most leveled up Jedi stuff that we've seen from him now, because he was throwing rocks before. That was him tapping into some other part of the Force. Now he is interacting with a Force ghost.
The first Force ghost. He is on his path to unlocking Force ghostness.
Yeah, it's the first person that got it. Yoda. He's like, Qui-Gon, hey, good to see you, man. and then Obi-Wan. So it's the fact that he's able to achieve that by the end, to me, is like, that's the tier of like, he's really reconnected with the Force. I would love to see some stories being told now about what it's like to be this Force connected and how, what stories are out there for him at this point.
I'll tell you, they didn't use the story that was in the Now Legends, but pretty recent, like maybe 2014 Obi-Wan book, where he's on Tatooine, and it's kind of this period where it's about, like, him interacting with the Tusken Raiders and like kind of connecting with them and helping like settle the differences between the Tusken Raiders and the settlers and all this kind of stuff. Like,
right.
That's a great arc. There's a lot for him to do, and I don't. To go back to it, I don't really care how it affects the canon or whatever. I am totally signed up for more Obi-Wan adventures, like in whatever form.
Yeah, I think there's a million bajillion% chance that more of this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Just based off the success of this series. The fact that Ewan McGregor wants to do more is a pretty good sign that it's going to happen.
Produced this.
Yes. Yeah. And this, I was trying to, like, we put a pin in a couple of things. One of them was definitely the chances of season 2. The other one was a general production problems thing. Yeah. I think maybe that happened in this. And it's like they weathered the storm of whatever some of those problems were. They came out with a really good season of TV that had its flaws, but like they made it through. I would love to see what happens now that they've done this and they're ready to tell a new story.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see what happens from this point on.
Yeah, me too. And as many flaws or whatever that I had with the show, I am impressed that the highs were very high. Like the end of episode 2, where Obi-Wan realizes Anakin is alive. Like that's worth the series to me. And then the Obi-Wan getting dragged through the fire, that's pretty rad too. But really this last Vader Obi-Wan fight and the weight of it is it's worth a whole series of really bad television to me. So yeah.
The fight was just, I mean, it's so good. The same way that the fight in Revenge of the Sith is what makes me like, I'll go back to that movie any day of the week, even though some of it really sucks. Like that the fight at the end of it, you're like, that's Omega tier Star Wars. That's like the good stuff. That's the gold. The fight in this, it almost took me by surprise how good this was. That I was so pleasantly surprised by the quality of what happened in this episode. Because like I said before, there was like, I was nitpicking some of the story. Like, how is this ship doing this? And then you got this ship doing this. And why is this happening this way? And then there's a Vader and Obi-Wan fight that happens in the middle of it. And I'm a kid sitting on the blue carpet in my den, at 917 Heather Circle. And I'm 7 years old again watching Star Wars for the first time. And I'm just like, this is fantastic. This is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else. And the fact that is happening for people who are that age makes me just go, great.
Yeah.
Star Wars is in a good place right now. There's a lot more of it that is going to be coming out. We have right now you and I are kind of like, we've been going through the gauntlet of Star Wars. And I've really enjoyed it, and I've loved a lot of it.
Yeah.
It is overwhelming how much there is.
Yeah,
it is. It's a lot. And we're going to go into a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a hiatus from like brand new content. But they've lined up like a murderer's row of content to come out for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
At least this year, next year. I mean, we know we're looking forward to more stuff. We've got a little bit of a breather here, but then we've got Andor. We've got, I think, Bad Batch season 2. We've got the Tales of the Jedi. Is that happening this year?
I don't know. Probably.
It's either this year or next year.
We've got Visions 2.
More Visions.
We've got Mando 3. We've got Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's all coming down the pike, but it's just, we are so spoiled as Star Wars fans at the moment, where it's like, even if you don't absolutely love something here, we've got something over here. I think Visions was like a revelation for me in the fact that they're like, okay, we're just gonna let people tell stories.
Yes,
I was like,
want more of that, please.
I'm like, that is a really good idea. Yeah. Even if it's not like, hey, this has to be canon. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care at all. Give me the Wacky Legends movie. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that there's a weird Star Wars story about a band that plays in front of Jabba at the pod racing, stadium. I'm like, the fact that exists and can be someone's favorite Star Wars is great.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be my favorite, that's fine. But the fact that there are these entry points for all sorts of people to come in and enjoy these stories. It's my favorite thing about Star Wars is that it is a huge sandbox for creativity, where we as almost like participants, as an audience member, we get to participate in these things. We are invited into so many different creative adventures, and some things we go, I love this, and some things we go, not for me. And some people are huge dicks about those things that aren't for them, but and we try to put them in a corner and never talk to them. But that we get to have all of these spoils of Star Wars stuff is just great, I think.
Yeah, and I like you said, there's something for everyone, but I also want to acknowledge the privilege that is like Mandalorian. I was saying is probably my favorite Disney Star Wars still. Like as a whole, I think that show so far holds up better. It's more what I've wanted, which is like just throw me into a corner of the universe and let's see what happens. Yeah. But I think one, we are at a unique age to have grown up with this era of Star Wars. That is Hayden and Ewan together as Jedi, basically. And yeah, I feel a privilege and also want to appreciate that, like, this was for me. Like, this was wish fulfillment to the highest degree. And whatever problems I have with the thing, like, here and there, I think the story as a whole holds together. And I think that the key scenes are some of the best Star Wars I've ever gotten. And I don't know that there's going to be another moment in any media where I'm sitting there feeling that much like a child in my living room, being like, oh my gosh, like his helmet is cut. They're best friends.
It was like being teleported back in time during that fight. Was like, critical lens is gone. I just Star Wars fan activate. You know what I mean? Like, just total immersion into that. It was so great. Very thankful that we got it. Very much excited as a hobby teaser for some Kenobi trading cards. One, if you're listening to this and you're a trading card fan, make sure you're hopping on the Tops Now train and getting the weekly releases of those. But there has to be a Tops hobby product of this that's going to have a lot of prints, hopefully blasters. Hopefully they print this to the moon. I will pre-order hobby boxes the day they are available of this. There's so many.
There are so many shots. Even where the production can be like the low point for me, and I guess what I mean is like I can see the edge of the volume. I can see like the limitations of it. Oh wow, we never have levels. Like you talked about blocking, and like we never have levels. It's always flat. But aside from that, there's some really striking images, throughout this show that are just really great that I want cards of. Give me those.
Yes.
Come on, Tops.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've got our finger on the pulse of all things Top Star Wars as that happens. So we will keep everyone noted during our Hobby Talk episodes about what is going on with that, because I am going to be an early adopter of some Kenobi Season 1 Topps trading cards.
And BC, if there's a listener out there who's still here,
you've made it a long way, friend.
If you email us the code Yoda Jammies, email us code Yoda Jammies, I will give you 2 entries into the giveaway for the PSA 10, the graded PSA 10 Yoda Living Set card. So there's that.
And again, that is Yoda Jammies.
Yoda Jammies. A cheat code from Star Wars Jedi Knight.
Actually, if you're still listening, please send us an email and let us know that you've made it this far. Because there's not a lot of you out there. So if you have made it this far, I'm speaking directly to you at this point.
We know there's one of you in Australia. There are 2 of you in Britain occasionally.
Yeah. So send us an email to thecargobaypod@protonmail.com and just let us know that you made it all the way to the end. with the Yoda jammies, and you'll get an extra entry.
Yeah, and this is a big deal, too, because the only other entries for this card are people who leave 5-star reviews for our podcast. Nice. So you're getting kind of a freebie. You just have to send an email that says Yoda jammies.
Nice. Yeah, I think we're up to a couple of Comlink emails.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah. So that's the end. That's the end.
Yeah,
of
we
season
did
1.
it, BC. Yeah, what a ride! Glad to do it with you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Been a pleasure as always.
And we've got more on the horizon. So if you want to find us, we're at the Cargo Bay Pod on almost everything. BC just gave you the email address. We're on YouTube, and we have podcasts where you find podcasts. So check us out. We'll be back next week for hobby talk and a wrap up with I think some friends of ours. A wrap up for Obi-Wan, a less just trying to throw our thoughts out because we're excited, and more we've sat on it for a week.
Yeah, maybe we can even play host a little bit more too.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's some opinions from people.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Let's try that.
All right. Well, PBDO, why don't you get us out of the cargo bay and we'll decide which one of us is going to distract the Star Destroyer. It's still pounding away back there.
I know. I think you did it last time, so I think it is my turn. So I'll do it this time.
Okay, you're off the hook, PBDO. Get us out of here.
Be mom.
Bye forever.
Bye, y'all.